you totally confused by reports of a glut of unsold batteries in stock in China, showing a clear drop in demand for EVs? Followed immediately by reports from the EV manufacturers themselves claiming that battery shortages are holding back their production. They can't get enough of them. Also, is LFP the future, as we're told, or is that already outdated and the future is actually sodium, or solid state, or graphene? Or maybe Toyota really have made their 932-mile range battery pack ready to go? Or is the future no batteries at all? Maybe hydrogen will take over? Well, I certainly get very confused. Dave Takes It On looks into what's really happening, and to understand battery production and chemistry, later I'm going to use ice cream as an analogy. I will explain all. Many of us don't know much about battery chemistry, including me. No, let me correct that. Most of us know absolutely nothing about battery chemistry, or how a lithium-ion battery even works, or any battery for that matter. We don't understand the chemistry, the chemicals, or the mass production challenges. Regular viewers will know I love reducing things down to basics so that even I can fully understand what's going on. So let's accept we're not lithium battery chemistry experts or manufacturing specialists. And for those who actually are experts in battery chemistry, you already know all that's going to follow and more, so thanks for watching. Now, trawling through internet websites, Twitter, Google and YouTube does not make me an instant expert in anything at all. Far from it. Those sources are brilliant for compiling data that otherwise might not be available or that you don't have time to do yourselves, and then presenting them in a format that is appealing for people to watch. I can count ultra-rapid chargers, for example, find out how many there are, or dive really deep into Toyota's published finances, or collate the latest sales of EVs or prices, EV versus ICE. And that's what I tend to do, gather data and present it in a form that hopefully you find interesting and informative. Probably this is because I have a very analytical mind, which dates back to my Royal Navy days as an officer. I was told in training that as a very young junior officer I would know absolutely nothing compared to the seasoned, trained, experienced, much older chief engineers and specialists I would command. My primary problem would be resolving disputes, maybe where a chief engineer with 30 years experience might be arguing with an upstart engineer with far less training and experience, maybe just 15 years, trying to tell an old-fashioned expert new tricks. The very first thing we were taught in officer training college was that even after an extensive tour around the ship, visiting all departments when you're first posted there, you probably won't even know what the piece of equipment or procedure they are fighting over actually is, or does, or what's wrong with it, and you will have absolutely zero chance of telling them how to fix it. That would just instantly show your total ignorance and turn both of them onto you. So don't ever try to bluff your way past these guys. Instead, we'll train you how to use dispute resolution. You see, they are the experts, you're not. So get them to resolve their own problem. Well, very briefly, I'm not going to go into detail, but they will immediately respect your authority as an officer and stop fighting. Then, out of respect for his seniority, you ask the senior engineer what his solution is. Then, ask the junior engineer his solution, and then get the senior engineer to critique the other, then vice versa. But never pick sides. Finally, ask the senior engineer what would happen if he followed the junior engineer's procedure, and vice versa. Now, in 99% of cases, in real life, they both backed down and they began to discuss the matter calmly between themselves, and 99% of the time they agreed a compromise. Where they didn't, I just said do whatever the senior engineer says. Well, I get a huge credit and status for having resolved a very complex engineering problem, despite still not knowing what the equipment was that they were fighting over. So, with my YouTube channel, I'm not an EV expert. I have driven an EV extensively for 4 years, so I have a considerable amount of actual experience which I can happily pass on to you, my viewers. But if you want me to tell you what Tesla should build or what battery chemistry you should buy, then I stay here and now I have absolutely no idea. And even if I did, it is utterly worthless, totally, completely useless. Well, let's take it, for example, I'm an expert, right? I went to university, got my degrees in battery chemistry or whatever, and I've got many, many years of practical experience designing and making rechargeable batteries. In fact, I end up the world's #1 expert. There is actually nothing that I don't know about batteries. And I decided I want to buy an EV. Using my experience and knowledge, I selected Tesla Model 3 Performance. But I must admit, I prefer the LFP batteries. So I go down to the showroom, say to the agent, look, I'm the world's expert on batteries and EVs. I'd like to buy a Model 3 Performance, but I need it to be fitted with LFP batteries, usually only found on the basic model, because, and then head off with a really lengthy, detailed, technical, complicated explanation. Well, you can already guess what the reply will be. Very much along the lines of, oh, sorry mate, we have a standard model with LFP, or the performance model, which is fitted with the NMC. Which one do you want? No matter what you argue or how clever you are, you won't get Tesla to build a one-off model just for you. You will end up simply having to choose which is the closest to the one you want. In this case, asking, is performance more important than LFP batteries? Well, to hopelessly misquote Crocodile Dundee, trying to tell Tesla what batteries to install is like two fleas on a dog's back fighting over who owns the dog. Utterly and totally pointless. Well, further, the battery companies are certainly developing chemistries and procedures that are utterly secret, top secret, still years away from production, but will blow the competition away when launched. So don't ask me which is better, LFP or NMC. I've got no idea. All I know is if you want performance, the manufacturers generally choose NMC. And if you want low cost and economy, most are now installing LFP. Whatever brand you choose. And because Tesla is the world leader, I would put more weight in what they offer than in a new startup company or an old stuck-in-the-mud legacy automaker. Just know that, whatever you choose, it is already out of date. When you go and buy, for example, the very latest OLED widescreen TV or mobile phone, you know full well it was designed probably 2 or 3 years ago, only entered production last year after lengthy development, and it's only just been launched. Back in the design department, you know they're working on stuff that will blow your mind, but you can't buy it yet, won't be able to for very many years. You don't even know what it is. It is totally hush-hush, top secret. But I can answer, is there a glut or a shortage? That's just down to data. And the answer is yes and yes. Well, back to ice cream. I said I'd get there. Ice cream makers know their products and their markets. They've been doing it for years. Supermarkets know their customers and the markets. They too have been doing it for years. So how come we have gluts and shortages and empty shelves in supermarkets? Well, in the case of ice cream, it's often just the weather. If we have the coldest, wettest summer on record, sales of ice creams plummet. If we have heat waves and we all head to the beach, sales of ice cream skyrocket. In other words, these experts with decades of experience have to try and guess what the weather's going to do to decide whether or not to stock extra ice cream or even what flavour. In the case of batteries, the sudden rapid growth of EV sales caught the battery manufacturers totally off guard. And there were shortages, big time. They designed and planned additional production lines and factories, but these took time, years. So we endured a shortage. And when the factories were finally ready, we got hit with the pandemic and people were in lockdown, factories closed. There was a huge glut of surplus batteries. Then the lockdowns ended and we started buying again. And there was a shortage while factories ramped back up to full speed. Then finally, supply exceeded demand in some types of batteries, mainly in the old chemistry, NMC. And there was a shortage as the EV manufacturers switched to cheaper and safer LFP batteries. More factories were built as battery companies switched production to LFP, and we had another temporary shortage. Then they came online, and we had a glut. Well, this is totally normal for any product. On any day, some are in surplus. On any day, some are in shortage. And the next day, it can quite easily reverse. So yes, we have a glut of some batteries and we have a shortage of others. And it will hopefully settle down in time. So which do I think will win? Well, logic says I have to ignore new ideas just being looked into and also any other ideas that are not yet ready for mass production. For example, Tesla is a bit of an expert in batteries. They make their own and they announced their 4680 cells about 4 years ago as a huge breakthrough in low cost, high energy density. Today, they are only just coming online and appearing in their vehicles. Well, can I go and choose a car with 4680s? No. I choose which model I want when I get it, and I get the batteries that Tesla decided to put in there. They might be 4680s, they might be the old 2170s. Does it matter? Well, not to me. When I am ready, I will choose what suits me at that time. If I decide to buy one, I will choose the car best suited to my needs and accept whatever batteries are installed. It's a bit like buying an ice cream. It is absolutely no good demanding a Raspberry Ripple if Tesco has sold out of it and only has chocolate left. Well, I'm okay with chocolate. I quite like chocolate ice cream. I just would have preferred raspberry, but, well, in fact, now I've got my chocolate ice cream. I'm quite enjoying this. Maybe it's just become my new favourite. Well, it is my favourite, so no more raspberry for me. Well, thanks for watching to the end. If you have liked this video, please subscribe, hit the like button. And if you would like to contribute financially, please consider becoming a Patreon member. Full details below. I'm Dave.